guys, so this morning I want to talk about something kind of serious. And I saw something on YouTube this morning, and I'm not going to say anyone's name because it's actually not just this one individual. This happens a lot. But I wanted to kind of bring it to people's attention, and maybe they don't realize how offensive they're being. But this is what I saw this morning. Mind you, this is in one of the specialized groups on YouTube that I sort of belong to. And this had nothing to do with that hobby. It had nothing to do with that group of people or any of that. This person posted two separate videos, and they were videotaping their neighbor's home, and there was various ambulance, police, rescue vehicles there. And I did not watch the video, but you could tell from the shots and from the previews of the video, the thumbnails, and also the text that this person put in the description, that it was their neighbor's house, and their neighbor had passed away, and this person put that their neighbor had passed away due to suicide. And this really bothered me. And I'm going to tell you a personal story. I'm going to tell you why. However, I think it would have bothered me regardless of if I had been in that position before. My father was killed in 2008 in a car accident. The other driver ran a red light, slammed into him, killed him instantly. And of course, we were made aware of the accident. We knew the details. We knew what happened. Anytime something like that happens, they do an investigation. Anytime there's a death that doesn't occur in a hospital or, anything suspicious, they do an investigation, and the family's provided with photos and all of that. However, that just because you know that something has happened doesn't mean you want it in your face all the time. And we were seeing the aftermath of the accident. Apparently, when the accident happened, it was during the day, and apparently someone driving by decided to take a video. And they took a video on their cell phone. It was right after the accident happened. Appropriately, there's a police siren in the background. Anyway, they took this video right after the accident happened, and there's probably no way that they could have known this, but the video showed my father's vehicle and the other party's vehicle, and both vehicles were smoking. This was literally right after it happened. And people were running up to my father's window, presumably testing for a pulse and that sort of thing, and he had died immediately, according to the coroner. So they were running up to the window, and then they were walking away, slowly with their head down. So this is something that, as family members, we never would have seen. We did speak with witnesses, like I said, there was an investigation. However, that's not something that we would have seen. People walking away from the side of his car when he's obviously dead. And that's not something we really need to see. We want to remember my father the way he was when he was alive. But my mother, she went to work, and she follows a news blog at work. This was a couple days after it happened. She went back to work. And guess what pops up on her news feed in her news blog? It's the story of my dad's accident with this video. And the video was auto playing, so it just popped up. It was a 15-second, 20-second video. But 20 seconds can say a lot. And my mother did not have a choice in whether she wanted to see that. She'd been subscribed to this news blog forever, and it's just a general news blog for the area, and it just popped right up, and that's the first thing she saw on the first day she went back to work after my father was killed. So even if that had not happened, I would still be against people posting these sort of things on the internet, because it's not your business to do that. But having had that happen, I find it extremely offensive. And I'll give you an example. The other night, we were leaving our house to go to the grocery store, and there was a car accident. And a guy had smashed into a tree. And he was alive, but pretty badly hurt, and people were stopped. And we stopped to make sure everyone, police had been called, paramedics and all that. And then we got out of the way because there was already two cars there, and People were helping him, making sure he stayed in his car. He was by himself. And when we came back from the store, they were towing away the car. He had already been taken off in an ambulance. They were towing the car. And there were people standing right up next to the gate by the road videotaping it. And you could see they had their cell phones out. And I just feel that it's no one's business to tape these things. And it's no one's business to put them on YouTube. Now, things like my dad's accident, other car accidents, they are broadcast on the news, and that's something that, there's certain rules that they have to follow. Before they can say any names or have any identifying information, they have to notify the family. There are certain rules that the media follows, and there's not much that can be done about that. However, it's not the business of a private citizen to take something personal, a personal tragedy, and put it on the internet. And I know it's really easy when you're on the internet to think that people don't have feelings, they don't have families, they don't have kids, they don't have parents and jobs and spouses and whatever, and real problems. But we are not just numbers floating around in the world. These are real people. And when you take something so personal and you put it out there on YouTube, you have no right to do that. And I want to share with you a picture. This is an article about how, as individuals, we've always had a certain assumption of some sort of anonymity or privacy in public. And I want to share with you this picture. This is a mother and her child with masks on because they don't want to be filmed. And this is what it's coming to, you guys. Just because you have a cell phone, just because you can videotape something, does not make it okay. It doesn't give you the right to invade someone else's privacy. So when you tape something, particularly in the instance of the video I saw this morning, when you tape emergency vehicles coming out of someone else's home, or you tape them, wheeling a body out, and it's obvious that someone has passed away, and maybe you even heard from the family member that the person has committed suicide, that is not your right to go and then broadcast that on your YouTube channel. It's not your right. And I think people really get confused. And even though there's no laws per se about that at this point, and that's what this article talks about, just because you can do something doesn't mean you should. And if you are a person who's never been in a position where a family member has passed away in a tragic accident and there is media coverage and there is, a public tragedy, maybe you don't understand. But if you can take 5 minutes, and I did suggest this to this person and they deleted my comment, and it was a respectful comment, but they deleted it. If you can take 5 seconds to put yourself in the family's position, they have just lost someone they love. And if they want to release certain things publicly about that person's death, that is their decision, and you need to let that be their decision. It's not up to people who are not involved, people who are not part of the family of the deceased person. It's not up to you to be broadcasting that. And it doesn't really matter what your intentions are. I can tell you that when my mom came across that video, it was just, first day back to work, it just crushed her all over again. Because here's another little piece, and you see people walking away, and you know that that's the moment that your loved one died. People do not have a right to put that on the internet publicly, on their YouTube channels. You don't have a right to do that. And I don't care what the law says. This is one of those instances where I don't care what the law says. You do not have that right as a respectful human being. That's not something that people do. And maybe this person is too young or immature to understand, but unfortunately I see this a lot. I pass by accidents on the road, and people have their cell phones out, sticking them out the window. I don't understand what this obsession is with tragedy, but I can tell you, as a person who has faced tragedy firsthand and lost a family member to a tragic accident, and I think anyone who has lost a family member would agree with me, you don't have a right to videotape my family tragedy and put it out there for the world to see and interject your commentary and all of that. You don't have a right to do that. If you want to be helpful and be a witness and give information to the police and all of that, if there's an investigation, that's fantastic. But you don't have a right to go and broadcast the death of my family member or friend or whoever, the death of my loved one, publicly on your channel. So if you're doing that, all I can say to you is you need to grow up. And I hope you're never in a position where you know what it feels like to have that happen to you. Because on top of losing someone you love, then you get this kind of ridiculous disrespect from your fellow human beings, and it's disgusting.